Craig Kimbrel has had the best relief pitcher career of anybody since Mariano Rivera. 2 top 11 MVP voting seasons. Batter for batter, he is one of the most dominant pitchers in the history of baseball.
Craig Kimbrel is a potential, where do you have him, Hall of Fame, not first ballot. My guess is Craig Kimbrel makes it to Cooperstown. He's the one who, his shoulders hunch over and his arm hangs down. God, our teams faced Craig Kimbrel so many times.
As a relief pitcher, he was so good in the work he did get as a pitcher that it sprung him above pitchers who threw way more innings. In MLB history, he once set the MLB record for strikeout rate in a season, being the first pitcher ever to go a full season striking out more than half of the batters they faced. You had no chance against this guy. His 2011 season saw him strike out 127 guys as a reliever. For instance, I watched a lot of Mike Pelfrey that same year for the Mets. 22 more guys than Big Pelf did that season in almost 117 fewer innings. He had to decide if he was going to strike you out with his nearly unhittable high 90s fastball, which was also the hardest thrown curveball in baseball early in his career. I mean, you were going to punch out if he threw you either one of them. You just had to make the choice of, in just a tick over 4 years, he became the all-time saves leader for the Atlanta Braves. All this while he was still just 26 years old. Craig Kimbrel was the greatest young relief pitcher who had ever lived. That Kimbrel was a kid who grew up a Braves fan. Batters seeing Kimbrel hang in like a fighting game loading screen pose were in for a bad time. He was the youngest pitcher ever to get to 150 saves. He symbolized impending Braves wins, and they finally rewarded him for it with a 4-year contract entering 2014. It took him just 5 seasons to get locked up to a big contract as a relief pitcher, which is nearly unheard of since relief pitchers tend to be fickle. He was as sure a thing as they came, and as dominant as they came. The best relief pitcher in the world at this time. The Atlanta Braves traded Craig Kimbrel away.
I'll never forget those and all the fans. They've always been so good to me.
Craig Kimbrel is now on to try to close it out for the San Diego Padres.
He's got 13 saves for the Padres. He'll be going for number 14 tonight against his old ball club.
Craig Kimbrel being traded by the Braves to the San Diego Padres should have felt more earth-shattering than he was treated. Simply because the Padres were willing to offer an insane haul to get him. Seeing Kimbrel take the mound wearing a Padres uniform in the second game of the 2015 season, that summer, he picked up his 200th save against the Braves. Still, very weird that the teams were flipped here, like watching Robin fight against the Teen Titans when he was blackmailed into being Slade's apprentice. But that trade was supposed to represent a change of the tides in baseball. Start fresh and get young as soon as possible. The Padres were supposed to be the new powerhouse on the block.
Now, the Padres turned themselves into contenders with all the moves they made in the offseason, and today they might have turned themselves into a champion.
In the game, he has the lowest ERA in Major League history of any pitcher who's thrown at least 250 innings. It's especially crazier to note that both the 2015 Braves and 2015 Padres wound up being bad. That off-season, the Padres trade Craig Kimbrel away. It's not like they did it because Craig was bad. The Padres underachieved so much in 2015, it made sense for them to cash out on the value Kimbrel had. This was a still consistently dominant and, at his best, literally unhittable reliever round. And the Boston Red Sox pulling the trigger on a Kimbrel trade this time proved to be one of the best decisions they'd ever make. Very, very nearly climbed back up to his Braves apex. Peter Griffin taught me that knee injuries hurt. His performance wasn't as elite while he was hurt. He was still good though, don't get me wrong. He just missed striking out 50% of the batters he faced for a whole season for a second time. He somehow managed to have an immaculate inning, which is when you strike out 3 straight batters in the same inning on 9 total pitches. He kept the milestones up the following year, becoming the youngest and least experienced MLB pitcher ever to reach 300 saves. Craig Kimbrel became a World Series champion as a force of nature late in games anchoring the team. He just kind of stopped after a very lengthy delay to his 2019 season because he was unemployed. But yes, Kimbrel was a free agent after that World Series win and didn't have a job for much of the season. Then in June, he finally signed a deal with the Chicago Cubs, and when he joined the team, he sucked. I'm willing to write that one off, though, because of the weird and funky late start to everything, throwing everything out of whack. Inexplicably pitching like Apex Braves Kimbrel again for half of 2021. Oh look, he sucks again. He turned in a decent year with the Dodgers in 2022 before being left off their playoff roster and was an all-star who was pretty effective for the Phillies in 2023. And saving the NL All-Star team's first win since the MCU had 6 movies. They had 32 at the time of this game. But then, once the 2023 regular season ended for him with good numbers, things eventually fell off a cliff. Now, after all that, we land in 2025. He is now 37 years old. His fastball is not the same as it once was. He doesn't dominate the way he used to. But legends like him typically get enough chances to coast off their reputation and gradually fade out of baseball in his White Sox, Dodgers, Phillies, and Orioles stops. But the way legends like him normally end their careers, there's normally one last rider some way, shape, or form. After all, he was really good in Boston, and as we established, unbelievable in Atlanta. Basically anywhere he wanted if he was willing to play at a low enough price. He had that kind of credibility in baseball still. 25. Over a decade after the last time donning this uniform, Craig Kimbrel was an Atlanta Brave again. He was thrilled to be back. The fans were even more so pumped to see him again too. You know, a Braves legend closing out his career where he most wanted to be. It was full circle for both parties here. The Braves traded Kimbrel away because they wanted to start over and get younger. A wave of great young players came in over the next few years and played very well, way ahead of schedule. Riley hit 2 home runs in the 2021 Braves playoff run, his breakout year, where he finished 7th in MVP award voting. They climbed to the top of the mountain 3 years after Kimbrel did it in Boston. And every year since 2018, the Braves have made the postseason. But when he gets the call to come back, it's not under the best of circumstances. Kimbrel signed back with the Braves relatively late to do so. They had just lost 8 of their last 10 games at the time of bringing Craig back up to the big leagues, the most recent being an unthinkable bullpen, and they lost. Truly, unthinkable is the word here. But it was so bad that they needed a fresh arm right now, and called Craig up to take a spot in the bullpen during their next trip to San Francisco. It was clear he just didn't have it. His fastball was averaging under 92 miles per hour, and what the average MLB fastball is like in 2025, thanks to some nice play from the catcher. Craig then walks the second hitter he faces before picking him off at first base. 2 outs, none from Craig actually pitching. As an Atlanta Brave altogether, they cut Craig the very next day. Turns out, Kimbrel was only here just to fill a temporary slot. This is an unfortunately common reality for guys who wind up being the last reliever on the roster. They're always in and out just to wear one inning and keep the other guys fresh anymore. So I understand him not being a trusted mainstay anymore, and honestly, I even understand cutting him if he truly did not have the skill set to be counted on anymore. You know what? That might actually be true. Even if your other relievers managed to blow that game and the next in disgusting fashion as well. I'll raise you one more point here. You couldn't have done this while the Braves were at home in Atlanta. If you waited a week and brought up someone else in the meantime, you could have given Craig his goodbye outing against the disgrace to baseball 2025 Rockies. These Braves fans, so excited to have Craig back, could have at least seen and cheered for him one last time. Not thrown to be a sacrificial lamb on the other side of the country. It's how baseball works, but he didn't deserve that. Because as it currently stands, Braves fans are somewhere between heartbroken and outraged that Kimbrel was treated like it, and you have yourself a nightmare end to what was supposed to be a happy moment. Now, Braves fans know how good Kimbrel was for them. To show that, Kimbrel's legacy has been tarnished through this fallout, or at least missed its potential to be solidified or end on a high note where it all began, thanks to how it was mismanaged. And I think he should easily be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I'm worried people today might not realize that with how much his stuff has faded over the last few years. But that was always going to happen. It unfortunately happens to almost everyone who was ever good. One day, after being cut by the Braves in 2025, he signed a minor league contract with the Texas Rangers, and if that's the case, it is an absolute shame this is how he'd go here. If this was in fact the end of the line for him in MLB and in Major League Baseball is record a strikeout in a Braves uniform, that could not be a more perfect way for this legend to go.